All right, welcome back to another video, guys. You'll be able to tell by the name of the video that my big dog's meet did not go well. It actually went quite bad. But there's a bit more to it than just having a bad day, basically. I'm just going to touch on sort of what happened in the last 4 or 5 weeks of prep, what happened on the day, and then sort of what the plan is going forward. Because for anyone following along at home, obviously there was no videos for last month and a bit of prep. And that's basically because prep didn't go well. That last little 4 or 5 weeks wasn't ideal. And yeah, there just wasn't really much to post. All right, so the last video I posted, I think, was a 380 for a double, which went really well. Prep up to that point was perfect. I was feeling really good. Everything was moving better than sort of how I anticipated. The 380s felt really easy. I think I paused the second rep as well, which again was giving me confidence going forward. Now, the week after, I had 390 for a double. I missed the second rep just due to my own sort of just not focusing enough. I didn't give enough respect, I think, to the 390. So the plan for the following week was a 400 kilo for a double. I was looking forward to that ever since my coach told me about it towards the start of the prep, that was sort of the big planned double that we had. But yeah, it didn't go well. So a little backstory. So the Sunday before I had to squat 400 for a double, I spotted and loaded at a comp. Now, I said pretty early on that I only wanted to help spot the squats and not do any of the other day because I wanted to keep myself as fresh as possible. In reality, I shouldn't have done anything. If you've ever spotted and loaded a comp, you know that it's quite exhausting. It's a bit more full on, and I've pulled up worse after spotting and loading comps than I have from actually competing at comps. So yeah, we ended up having a pretty big day. I spotted all the squats, and then had to do deadlifts as well. And as I was doing the squats, I really felt the sort of fatigue sort of set in. My back felt tight. My legs and hips started to tighten up a bit. And then when I was doing the deadlifts, my hammies and lower back started to go to shit. I'm not designed to constantly be loading and unloading a deadlift bar, but it is what it is. I like helping out. There's plenty of people that have sacrificed sort of their weekends and stuff to help spot me, so I don't mind, giving my weekend. It just came at a pretty unfortunate time. We moved on to Tuesday for the 400 kilo double. If I can find footage of it, I'll post it. I'll overlay it or something, but I'm not sure if I've still got it. I kind of cracked it that week and just deleted everything, and it kind of just pissed me off. But basically what happened was I unracked 400 and immediately sort of just caved. So unrack, and I sort of just immediately went like that. I told the guys to take it. They grabbed it off me. They re-racked it. I got out from underneath the bar and I just tried to get myself again psyched up because I'm like, I've done 400 before. I've made it fly. It didn't feel heavy on my back. It just felt a bit unstable. So that's what I did. I got back under the bar. I stood up. And this time it felt a little bit better, a bit more stable on my back. But yeah, as I started to squat, everything felt okay. Hit the bottom, came back up, and about 3/4 of the way up, the same sort of thing happened where my upper back, I'm assuming due to fatigue and all that, just sort of caved. So I kind of pulled forward, and it felt like I was just going to shoot directly forward. So said take it. The guys grabbed it immediately, so no issues there. But it did strain my back a little bit and wasn't the nicest feeling. And if I've got the video, you'll see that I cracked the shits after, because what would have been a really nice, PB 400 kilo double set me up for, some more heavier squats for the prep and, just build that confidence. Ended up just sort of hurting me and not being ideal. So that was the squat day. I then, had Wednesday off like I usually do, and then I came back to bench on Thursday, which was fine. My body still hurt. That bench session didn't go great because I was dealing with some elbow issues from the 400. So I just did whatever I could. I then had to deadlift on Friday and had 340, which I've done countless times, and it's usually a weight that, I can do sort of no matter what. Warm-ups are going okay. My last warm-up of like 300 or 310 felt terrible. And then I pulled 340 and I missed on grip. I didn't really chalk up my hands. I wasn't really thinking, but I missed on grip, which isn't something that usually happens to me. Normally I can just hold on to whatever I need to. So missed on grip, but being stubborn, I'm like, no, I'll give it another go. Chalked up properly, and then second time I just missed. I was just tired from the first miss, and yeah, wasn't really happy with obviously missing it a second time. So I decided to do it a third time because I'm an idiot. And then again, of course, I missed again. I got closer than the second attempt, but I missed again because it just wasn't going to happen. Not that day. And then what happened? So, finished that session. Obviously, unhappy with how it went. Then the next morning, I woke up and I felt like I'd been hit by a truck. So my back was cooked, my hammies were sore, and I'm talking like I felt like maybe I injured my hamstring, and my back was definitely not in a good place. I struggled to get out of bed, and on top of that, I also got sick. So that Saturday, the day after the deadlifts, I was just dead. It wasn't good. I pretty much spent all weekend sleeping. I lost like 6 or 7 kilos as well, because obviously I just spent all the time sleeping, trying to recover. I didn't even eat. I didn't get to really eat enough. And that was one of the other mistakes that I sort of made going forward, was that I focused so much on the scale weight as opposed to how I felt. So after I got sick, I just started smashing as much takeaway and as much high calorie foods as I could just to get my weight back up, because I had this stupid idea that I need to be as heavy as possible, to squat as heavy as possible, to bench as much as I can, when in reality, I'd sort of already proved that even if I was a little bit lighter, I still could have done the weights that I was planning. We had moved my next squat day to Thursday instead of Tuesday, just to give myself some extra time to recover. Now, that session didn't go well. I did my usual warm-ups. I got to about 2:30 and my back was just sore. I sort of just said to the coach, we'll see what I can do, and I'll call it if it's too much. The plan was to squat 415. Now, I got to, so 2:30 hurt my back. I wrapped for 280, and that felt all right. It actually felt pretty good, and I was like, oh, like shit, maybe I'm going to be okay. Maybe now that I'm warmed up a bit more, I'll be all right. So I jumped again 50 kilos to 330 kilos, which is what I usually do. So it's not like I did something different. But then that hurt my back, like a lot, and I just couldn't really, like I stood up with it, and then just getting out from under the bar, I was in so much pain that I was like, yeah, I can't do this. So we pretty much just scrapped that squat session. I booked in with an osteo, Zoran, who did some amazing work on my back that weekend. And then we tried to re-squat again on Tuesday. And that actually went a lot better than I was anticipating. We were planning to go 415, but we thought worst case scenario, take 400 and just see how we go. And that squat session went really well. The actual squat itself wasn't amazing. I tried to squat for comfort over everything else, if that makes sense. So I wasn't looking for a super fast 400 kilo squat. I wasn't looking for like a crazy deep 400 kilo squat, anything. I was just trying to squat it so I was comfortable and my back didn't hurt, my hammy was fine, like all that sort of stuff. And it worked. Like I squatted the 400 and I was pretty good, and I felt, pretty happy about it. But yeah, again, it was a slow rep. It wasn't so much of a grind. It just wasn't fast. Yeah, so we had successfully squatted 400 kilos for the first time that prep, which I was happy about. Trying to get that momentum back. My next session I had later that week, I believe, was a 340 kilo deadlift again. We're going to try that. That was the same sort of scenario. See how the warm-ups go. If my back doesn't feel good, just don't worry about it. But I got it. Like I deadlifted the 340. I felt better. I still had a little bit of a thing with my hamstring, but I didn't really notice it in that session. Once it sort of got warm, it was all good. So that, coming from not being able to squat 330 or squatting 330 and being like, I feel like my back's going to break, to squatting 400 and deadlifting 340 while also benching, an equal PB, I was pretty happy. The momentum was starting to come back. We left the deadlifts there. We weren't going to worry about pushing them anymore. 340 was a good enough number. So last heavy squat was supposed to be 425 kilos. We just rounded down to 420. Not that it really would have made a difference anyway, but we thought, why not? That squat went really well. Bit shaky sort of on the way down, but I managed to control it the whole way. And yeah, it felt really good. Hit the squat fine. Again, I'll put it up probably over me talking so you can see it. But yeah, I was happy with that. It felt really good. It sort of felt like how it used to. So I was really happy with that. Can't complain. I then had one more bench session and then we were done. I had a deload deadlift somewhere in there as well, which again was fine. I missed the 240 bench, which wasn't that much of a surprise. You know, after the 420 kilo squat, my back was feeling okay, but not like, I knew I wasn't 100%. But in my mind, as long as I could squat 420, 1,000 kilos was still on the cards. It was still there. That was sort of the minimum I needed to hit. So I thought, if we just take 420 as a second, like we planned, and I hit that, it doesn't matter if I miss the third because I can make it up with my bench and my dead. The whole plan was to try and relax as much as possible before comp day and go into the comp feeling as good as possible. Normally on a comp day, after a week of essentially doing nothing, maybe like a light bench on the Monday, I usually, my hips, my lower back, everything usually feels real loose, really good, basically. Like, you know, squats normally just feel incredible, but they just didn't really feel that good. They felt okay, but like not as fluid, not as loose as like normal. But again, that I wasn't too worried about that. I knew I wasn't 100% going in, but again, if I could squat 420, it wouldn't matter, or I thought it wouldn't matter. I could deadlift enough and bench enough that it'd be okay. So I took 350 as my last warm up, and then we jumped to 390 kilos as my opener. When I unracked it, I didn't unrack it as sort of hard and as aggressive as I usually do, so it didn't feel amazing on my back. But still squatted it, got 2 whites, 1 red. So as planned, we took 420 kilos as my second attempt, and this was one where I was like, cool, just nail this, and then we can worry about the third, whatever it ends up being. So I unracked it. The unrack was better than the 390. 420 felt lighter on my back than the 390 because I nailed the unrack. So as you know, got the squat command, all that was nice. Hit the hole, or where I thought the hole was, and I stood up. And as I stand up, again, I'll post the video if I can. I'll have it somewhere. And I kind of like jitter on the way up, and that was my mid back to lower back, like straining and hurting. And then the rest of the rep is like slow, sort of controlled, just standing up. And yes, I re-racked and I missed on depth, which yeah, I watched the video back. I'm like, I definitely missed on depth, which is fine. Not ideal given the circumstances, and that I just sort of hurt my back as well. But I didn't say anything to my coach, which in reality is kind of stupid. But I felt like if I said I hurt my back, he wouldn't let me try it again. And again, I needed 420 as a minimum to keep the 1,000 kilos alive. 420 again, we just took it again, obviously. I tightened my belt even more just to try and help as much as possible with the back situation. Unrack was nice. Try to sink it, and all I could think of was my back and the fact that the lower I was going, the more it was hurting. And I felt like I hit depth, but the more I think about it, the extra tightness of the belt, obviously I've got the tight wraps on, it would have, that sort of internal pressure that you get when you hit the hole and you know you're at depth, I would have had that a bit higher, you know, above parallel. But yeah, I felt like I hit depth. I stood up, and again, it was like, this one was a grind because it just hurt. The whole rep just fucking ached and just wasn't fun. But I got through it anyway, re-rack, and I missed on depth again. I asked the ref, and he said it was close, but there was, you know, it was obviously high, and obviously 2 reds. So yeah, no successful lift, but it is what it is. I pretty much knew the 1,000 kilos was gone from that point. The next goal was, what can I do? Like, can I salvage maybe a bench PB, and how is deadlifts going to go? Bench, the warm-ups felt terrible. They weren't moving very well. I couldn't get any leg drive. Anytime I tried to sort of push through my legs or like squeeze my glutes, my mid and lower back would start to strain or like heavily cramp. And then I just had no stability. So my warm-ups weren't great. Still open to 215. That felt like it moved quite easy, but it still felt really heavy. But again, if I've got no leg drive and I'm lacking stability, of course it's going to feel heavy. When jumped to from 215 to 225, and then the plan was to take 235 or 230, depending, 230 would have gave me a comp PB of 2.5 kilos, and 235 would have given me the bench record and the supers at the gym, which is the one I really wanted. But 225, I couldn't get it to go. I had no stability. I had no leg drive. I just couldn't. And that was a weight that I doubled twice. I think I did a 2x2 in prep, nice pauses and everything. So to then not be able to put it up on comp day was very disappointing. Had a quick chat with the coach and I said, I'm not going to get it again. Like, there's no point in taking a third. I'm not going to be able to, it just won't go. I just know with how I'm feeling, it's just not going to happen. Onto deadlifts, that just hurt. There was nothing more about it. It just hurt. Picked up 120 and my whole back hurt. And I thought, well, what's the point? I was like, I'm not going to like not deadlift. I'm just going to, just pull whatever I can just for the sake of it. I walked out to a 300 kilo opener, pulled it, felt easy, but it just hurt. And then we went to 700 pounds, 320 kilos, same thing. I went out and I pulled it and it just hurt like shit. And then I opted not to take a third. I shouldn't have even taken the 320. I just wanted to try and pull something decent. But yeah, there's no point. So one of the major things I learned, which again, in hindsight, it's like so clear, but fatigue management. I never should have spotted and loaded because going into that 400 kilo squat for the double, I was too tired. I should have spent all my time resting, sleeping, relaxing, eating, just doing everything I can to make sure I was in the right physical condition to do that lift, but I didn't. So next time, if I'm in a prep, I probably won't help spot and load. Anytime I'm in an off season, I'll help as much as possible because I don't mind. I don't need to be as in good physical condition, I guess, as I do when I'm in a prep. Off season, it's okay if I feel like shit, and I still help spot and load at a comp, and then, the subsequent session is hard. It just doesn't matter. The plan going forward is I'm going to be doing Pro Roll 15 in March. The plan was to have all of December off and then probably go into another big off season for big dogs next year. Or I guess, 2025, this year. But with how big dogs went and how my performance was, I just can't sit with that. I'm just not happy with how that went. So the plan is to do Pro Roll 15. I was back in the gym, I don't know, a week later after big dogs. Obviously starting light, just moving more, just making sure my back's going to be okay. And up till now, it's been great. I've felt really good, really strong. So yeah, I'm going to improve a lot of things this prep in hopes that on comp day that we can hit that 1,000. I just want to hurry up and get it done, basically. I'm not trying to rush and get it done, but I just want to get it done so it's weight off my shoulders, and then I can worry about a big off season again going into another big dogs, and then hopefully put up the day that I should have last time. Yeah, this time just disappointing to have such a big comp like big dogs, and then to have it turn out how it did is just disappointing. But yeah, so Pro Roll 15 in March. I'm going to focus on my nutrition, improving that, moving more. I'm going to try and get my 10K steps a day, which is something I heavily neglected in the big dogs prep. I barely moved. And already moving more now, I feel my body just feels better. My hips feel looser. My legs feel better. My recovery is really good. I'm actually sleeping better, even though I was already sleeping pretty good. It wasn't until the last 4 weeks when, again, I was just eating nothing but junk food that I started to sleep really bad, which I don't think is a coincidence, obviously. But this prep, yeah, trying to maximize everything, trying to, I guess, optimize as much as I can to be as strong as possible. I also won't be as heavy this time around. I don't need to be 175 kilos. I think anywhere from 165 to 170 is more than enough. And I think the closer to 165 I am, realistically, my deadlift will feel better. I'll be able to get into a better position. Even already dropping, I'm 170 now, a little bit less. My deadlift position has improved heaps, and I actually feel like I can deadlift again. So it'll be good to be able to rely on having a big deadlift again, as opposed to worrying about, I have to squat and bench this much because my deadlift isn't quite where I need it to be. Where I'm hoping to be able to squat and bench, absurd amount, and then go into deadlift going, yeah, I can also pull 800 plus pounds, 365, 365 kilos, knowing that that's not going to hold me back from hitting my 1,000.